Touch the leg. You're watching Tibet This Week, our weekly news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and Central Tibetan Administration. Let's look at the headlines first. His Holiness the Dalai Lama meets the US Special Coordinator for Tibet. Uzra Zeya visits Central Tibetan Administration, meets with Tibetans in Dharamshala. Sikyong attends graduation ceremony at Kirti Monastery. Central Tibetan Administration and Tibet supporters mark 27th anniversary of 11th Panchen Lama's enforced disappearance. Central Tibetan Administration honors the memory of late Richard Blum and welcomes a delegation of German aid to Tibetans. Tibet Advocacy Initiative VTAC at San Francisco. Tibet Interest Group holds first in-person meeting after 2 years. The U.S. Special Coordinator for Tibetan Issues, Uzra Zeya, received an audience with His Holiness the Dalai Lama on Thursday morning at His Holiness's residence in Dharamshala. During the audience, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the U.S. Special Coordinator for Tibetan Issues discussed the rich traditions of freedom and democracy in United States and India.
America, great nation, and democracy.
Yes.
Completely freedom.
Yes.
India also, democracy, democratic country. And all different religious traditions live together here. That's why unity.
Yes. Yes.
His Holiness expressed his happiness to meet the U.S. Special Coordinator for Tibetan Issues and said that despite the People's Republic of China's efforts, it has failed to win the Tibetan people and transform their minds. Instead, His Holiness said the thinking of Chinese people itself is rapidly changing. His Holiness also granted an audience to Sikyong Pemba Siring-led representative of Washington, D.C. Namgyal Chidup, newly appointed representative of Tibet Bureau Geneva, Tile Chiki, and newly appointed representative of Office of Tibet, South Africa, Sring Chansom on Thursday this week. In a veto message on Monday this week, on the auspicious occasion of Vesak, the Buddhist celebration of Buddha's birth, enlightenment and death, His Holiness the Dalai Lama emphasized to cultivate the courageous heart of bodhicitta to serve others. His Holiness the Dalai Lama granted an audience to Sikyong Pemba Siring on Sunday this week. Speaking to the reporters following the audience, Sikyong said the audience was primarily to apprise His Holiness the Dalai Lama about the meetings and discussions that took place during his official visit to Germany, United States and Canada. Sikyong further stated that appreciation from His Holiness the Dalai Lama motivated him to continue to carry on with his duties efficiently as an elected leader of the Tibetan community in exile. The U.S. Special Coordinator for Tibetan Issues was on a 2-day visit to Dharamshala this week. During her stay, the Special Coordinator along with her entourage visited the Central Tibetan Administration and had a discussions with 16th Kasha led by Sikyong Pemba Siring, the Speaker, Deputy Speaker and the members of the Tibetan Parliament in exile. She also visited the Tibetan culture centers and met with members of the Tibetan community, including the members of Tibetan civil society and the Tibetan children. Tibetans in Dharamshala accorded a rousing welcome to the maiden visit of the U.S. Special Coordinator for Tibetan Issues, Uzra Zeya, and the delegations from the United States. The Special Coordinator's visit comes shortly after Sikyong Pemba Siring's visit to Washington last month, where Sikyong met with U.S. Special Coordinator for Tibetan Issues along with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, other bipartisan members of Congress and other officials at the State Department. This is the 6th visitation of the successive Special Coordinators to Dharamshala. Sikyong Pemba Siring attended a graduation ceremony of the Kirti Monastery on Friday last week. In his keynote address, Sikyong highlighted the sheer blessing and benevolence of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the religious heads for enabling Tibetan monastic institutions as the most sought-after institutions for the foreigners interested in studying Buddhism. He further called for mobilizing and integrating the potential and resources of administration and monastic institutions for the greater cause of Tibet. Around 30 graduates were felicitated and Sikyong also taught the monastery library before the ceremony. On the occasion of the 27th anniversary of Khinten Chigi Nyingma's enforced disappearance, 5 Chilean parliamentarians released an appeal letter calling for the immediate release of Tibet's 11th Panchen Lama. Marking the 27 years of abduction of Tibet's Panchen Lama, Khinten Chigi Nyingma and his family, the German Parliamentary Group for Tibet renewed its voices to ascertain the well-being and the whereabouts of 11th Panchen Lama, Khinten Chigi Nyingma. The parliamentary group called upon China to end the abduction of Tibet's 11th Panchen Lama and end attacks on the religious freedom of the Tibetan people. Department of Information and International Relations, Central Tibetan Administration also issued a press statement urging various governments, international organizations, civil society groups and human rights defenders to continue to press for the release of the 33-year-old Panchen Lama. The Central Tibetan Administration held a brief gathering on Friday last week to honor the memory of late Richard Blum, a longtime friend of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and a staunch supporter of the Tibetan people. The gathering was held in the presence of Heidi Blum, daughter of Richard Blum. Sikyong expressed the Tibetan people's sincere gratitude to him for his benevolence and support and recalled Mr. Blum's compassion towards the sufferings of the Tibetan children in the settlements in the 1970s and his continued support to the Tibetan people since then. Heidi Blum, in her brief speech, spoke about her father's deep commitment to the Tibetan cause and promised to do her best to continue the legacy of her father in supporting the preservation of Tibetan culture, religion and language. This Monday, the Central Tibetan Administration also welcomed the delegation from the German aid to Tibetans. The delegation led by Heidi Mayer, President of German Aid to Tibetans, comprised of Sevenya, Executive Manager, Chimi Lama, Sponsorship Secretary and Christine, Board Member. They visited the Central Tibetan Administration to discuss the running and outstanding projects of different settlements in India funded by the German Aid to Tibetans. Expressing his gratitude, Sikyong noted how the administration and the Tibetan community alike have significantly benefited from the aid, especially in the resettlement and rehabilitation of Tibetans during the initial period of exile.
It's the endeavor of the 16th cabinet. We feel it's our bond and duty to express our thanks and appreciation to any big or small organization that has stood with us over the last so many decades in supporting us in the preservation of our unique national identity, which is being threatened by Chinese government inside Tibet.
Heidi Mayer, President of German Aid to Tibetans, thanked the CTA for hosting them as she declared the continued support of the GAT to Tibetans in exile and their preservation of unique culture. Founded in 1968 in Hamburg, Germany, German Aid to Tibetan has been taking care of thousands of Tibetan refugees, especially the youngest and the eldest among them, who were afflicted by the period of emergency. The organization closely worked with CTA to ensure the aid provided is advantageously utilized and also probes for other requirements while making regular visits to project sites. Tibetans in San Francisco, California gathered at the Tibetan Association of Northern California Community Hall to hear and discuss the Central Tibetan Administration's VTech initiative on Sunday last week. During the meeting, Tibetan community, especially the younger generation, was introduced to the Tibetan Advocacy project in taking charge and shouldering more responsibility and to encourage their participation in the initiative. Thuktin Ki, the head of the Tibet Advocacy section, explained the opportunities that Tibetans in California are presented with in terms of lobbying government officials, senators, House representatives and others in the state, and urged fellow Tibetans in the area to register. The Tibet Interest Group in the European Parliament hosted a special in-person meeting on Tuesday to discuss various issues on Tibet. The event took place first time after the COVID outbreak and was chaired by members of European Parliament Mykolas Peksa, who is also the chair of the Tibet Interest Group. The outgoing representative of the Office of Tibet Brussels, Tashi Phuntsok, and the new representative Rinzin Kengang, along with colleagues from International Campaign for Tibet, also joined the meeting. Representative Kengang emphasized on bringing the attention of the EU to the worsening situation in Tibet and sought everyone's support. The meeting also discussed future Tibet Interest Group's activities and launched a book titled Thank You Europe for Adopting Tibetan Communes in Solidarity with Tibet, which was published by the Bureau du Tibet. That's all for today. We will be back with some more news updates in the next week. Until then, stay tuned.